walk out on that field today, ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! And don't do that! And don't do that! When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready. And let's go do that. And let's go do that. We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from them. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We ready. And let's go do that. And let's go do that. It's a wrap. Game over.
Game's not over. Game just getting started. I'm KG, Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review Media Group. I'm going to start saying that, emphasizing that more and more as we go forward. Welcome to Throwback Thursday on the lunch break with me and Andy Yanez. And joining us shortly will be Kennetra Pulliams from Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Andy, this is the official start of hopefully a new endeavor for both of us, as the lunch break is streaming also on the BS3 network on ROKU. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Twitch, all those platforms as well. But the big addition is being a part of the BS3 network on Roku. How are you today, young man?
I'm doing good. I think this is the first time I've ever been a part of the intro that I heard. It's a pretty sweet intro, but no, absolutely, like you said, I guess we're officially streaming. There's people that could find us on television, so I guess in many ways, we've made it to TV.
Yep, we made it to TV, and just to be clear, you can watch us from 12 to 1 on Roku live, but then you can also catch us on all the other platforms on demand. I like saying that too. So we are streaming live on Roku on the BS3 network. And of course, the lunch break is powered by JM&E. That's Jones and Media Entertainment. Jones Media and Entertainment, courtesy of our man AJ Jones, he's entrusting us with the keys to the kingdom on Thursdays, and possibly if we continue to grow the audience and expand, other days of the week in this time slot from noon to 1. So hopefully with everyone's help out there in the social internet platforms, help us grow, and we can expand our reach and talk more Coogs and sports and all those good things. And we touched on this, and I want to get you to follow up on it because we kind of touched on it on Sunday on Folks Talking Sports regarding UH football canceling their spring football practice. Head coach Dana Holgorsen had some more insight that he provided on Monday at the press conference. So just mention and discuss what he said on Monday.
Yes, definitely. So he basically attributed it to the weather and rules. And by rules, he meant the NCAA rules, which limits the number of spring sessions. Basically, everything that gets done in the spring for football teams has to be done within a 34-day window. That includes, obviously, the 15 practice sessions that they have, and it includes off days as well. So I believe that their first initial day of spring sessions came on February 28th. So that put them on basically the very limits of that window day, or that window period, on April 7th. So Uh, it, it would have been much more. They couldn't have just postponed all the practices for Saturday. Say if they would have considered that, because it would have been outside of that window. And then, of course, when it comes to moving everything to the indoor practice facility, he said that the space was limited just in terms of being able to keep spectators. There wouldn't be a space to put them, especially they were still able to have some of the recruits come in and watch them for that indoor practice. But essentially, it was, according to Holgerson, just a product of the situation, both with the weather and the NCAA rules that limited them on being able to postpone it for push it back a day.
All that makes sense to me. It makes sense to you, but I'm going to mention here what you mentioned. I think Ryan said it from Go Coogs. It's Houston. Houston in April, springtime, showers, rain happens in Houston in April. So they couldn't come up with a backup plan.
It would appear not, but I guess one of the other, I guess kind of, it was interesting hearing Hogerson talk on Monday. One of the other reasons, or not reasons, but kind of the other things that he kind of mentioned was just in terms of the spring roster and really how incomplete it is. He said that over the course of the next few weeks, the transfer portal is set to open back up. The second window of the transfer portal in football is set to open back up on April 15th. And they have 11 roster spots that they still need to fill when it comes to using the transfer portal, and a good chunk of those spots are going to be focused on the offensive linemen after they had an exodus of linemen transfer out after it seemed like it was coming week after or day after day for a period there in March. So they still have some positions to fill. Obviously, they still have a few high school signees that are going to set to join the program in June, and he said that they're planning on having a fan event at some point in August, which will be similar, where I don't know if they're going to necessarily do an open practice, but certainly where fans can come in and engage with the team. And I guess he kind of promoted it, saying it would be better because by that point it'd be 100% of the 2023 roster instead of the 60% about that they would have had they fans come out to see the spring game.
Okay. I mean, what else can we do but accept that? And we'll see in August if they promote and plan for it and hype it up and mention it, because that in August, UH will be 1 month into being a member of the Big 12. And we've touched on it so many times on all of our platforms on YouTube and social media. Houston has to do a better job of marketing and promoting, especially as they enter the Big 12. Do you have any reason to believe that things will change between now and then in terms of promotion for whatever that event is in August?
Well, I would hope so. You got to hope, especially, again, we touched on it in our show, Folks Talking Sports, when it came to the actual spring game in and of itself. It was only promoted, it seemed like, just a handful of times leading up to the event. And that's something that does need to change, especially, again, going back to Hogerson's comments on Monday. He said that he'll put it out there on social media. So hopefully it's more than just one post or a week or two before the actual event in and of itself, but lead up to it, build up to it. And I guess the main priority would be to be able to, obviously the big event for Houston is that they're going to be part of the Big 12. They're going to be competing in the Big 12 schedule, but promote the team in and of itself. They do have a lot of handful of things going for it. Obviously, I think the biggest thing that everyone that follows the Houston Cougars program is going to get drawn to is the quarterback battle. And by that point, it'll be right. Well, they're already right in the middle of the competition, but it'll be training camp. It's going to be who's going to be starter day one against UTSA, who's going to be the receivers. Apparently, Coach Holgerson was really high on the receivers group this year. He said that there's a lot of competition among them. He said, and this were his words, he said that they have the potential to be one of the best groups that he's ever seen when it comes to the receivers. And he said he's coached a lot of good receivers in the past, going back to his days in West Virginia and some of the talent he had in those teams. And of course, the biggest question mark is, how can they bounce back from the 2022 season? And they're in a transition. It's a transition year, but you're trying to show not only Houston fans, but showcase the nation that they are indeed a Power 5 program. And it starts with marketing. And that's going to be something that hopefully we see just from the promotion of the team in the next coming weeks and into the next few months. But hopefully we get more details as we get closer to the summer.
And reminder, I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You are watching The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E on YouTube and on ROKU on the BS3 network. Joining me right now is Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports, and we're going to bring in the awesome, sensational, knowledgeable queen of Big 12 now and ESPN Plus for Kansas athletics to get her perspective and probably compare and contrast how things are done at KU for spring football to Houston. Miss Kennetra Pulliams, how are you, ma'am?
Hey, Kris. Hey, Andy. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Kennetra, has KU had their football spring game?
They've had their spring football event.
That's better. That's better.
As they titled it this year, it's the spring showcase, and it happened last Friday. So yes, it has happened.
And how was attendance? What was it like? Describe the event for the audience here on The Lunch Break.
It was free.
Okay, that's good.
Did
it rain?
No, weather was good.
It was outdoors.
Outdoors. It was at the stadium. It was a Friday night, just because the season opener will happen on a Friday night. So it was a controlled scrimmage. It was some 7-on-7, some 9-on-9. You could see the new uniforms and then go out and purchase them. And so, you just kind of, basically it was the culmination of spring football practice. It was their 15th spring football practice. That's what it was.
How was there an announced attendance for the event?
No.
What would you say in terms of, how lately, last few years, how many times has KU done a spring event for football?
They do every year.
Even when they were bad, awful.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah. They do one every year. They try to tie it in. They bring the alumni back. They have a golf outing and try to make a whole weekend out of it. The scoring, it's not your traditional scoring. You have your first team offense versus your second team defense, and vice versa. And then you get, +1 for a good play, -1. So, the score was like 12-0 was the final score. But, that doesn't really say who won, because it really wasn't a winner. It was just kind of like, hey, here's what we've been working on. Here are some of our new players. Some of the key players were held out. Kenny Logan, for instance, he underwent surgery. He didn't take part in spring football whatsoever. Starting lineman, center Mike Nowitzki, nicknamed Dirk, obviously. He spent the entire game up in the broadcast booth working on his career after football. So, you didn't really get to see what you're going to see in the season opener in the fall.
Sure. Tony M, as a Coug follower and supporter, what are your thoughts on what Kennetra just said about Kansas football has had a spring event every year? And yes, it is some shade, but KU football has not been great every year up until the most recent years, correct? Or even good, competitive, right, Kennetra?
That's fair.
Okay, I'm just putting it out there for Coug fans, and it's a way to showcase, introduce, and connect with your fans, and just help them. Hey, these are our players for this year's team. Get to know them, and that's what it's about. It's not winning or losing. It's just another way to promote your team, your players, and get them excited about the upcoming football season. Would y'all agree with that?
Get a head start on season ticket sales. It's just kind of, generate some buzz. And so what, instead of just full game, it was a glorified spring practice that was kind of post-produced to put a pretty bow on it. And then it did not air live is what I'm going to say.
Okay. That's another question I was going to ask you, but Andy, do you have any questions for Kennetra before we get going further into this?
No, any question? I was looking up, and she'll get right into. She very specifically, it didn't air live, but she'll lead on to that. But just hearing her describe it, it sounds pretty similar to the football event that Houston had last year. Again, it's kind of like a culmination of the spring sessions. It's not necessarily a game; it's much more again, pretty similar control. They run different situations, whether it be 7-on-7, 9-on-9. And again, sounds pretty similar. I'm not sure if Houston has ever sold merchandise at the spring events. That's the thing that stood out of differences.
Well, that's a missed opportunity if they haven't, and they should going forward. I mean, Andy, we have merch now for Let's Rage Coogs. We're going to push that more and more every chance we get. So why not do that same thing for UH football? As Tony says right here, UH needs to build their brand up, even if we do expect losing. Yes, you have to give fans a reason to care about the program. Because Andy, where would you say right now that the fans are? The fans more apathetic to this coming season in football, or they care enough, but they just expect a lot of losing?
Second, it's definitely the second option. I think there is certainly, there's obviously buzz because they're going to be moving and making that jump into the Big 12. I don't think it's necessarily at a point where there's apathy around the program. I think it's much more so frustration would probably be the, maybe not the exact word, but obviously there's I saw something on the other day on one of the forums where they said they would consider it a good season if Houston went 5-7 in their first year in the Big 12. So I don't know if you could. Obviously, that's just a microcosm. That's one individual, but it's much more kind of, I would say, wait and see, because there is excitement, there is buzz around the program making that jump into the Big 12, but it's very much they're interested to see how they can compete. And I guess really much more they're trying to get a true gauge of where they stack up once they do indeed join the Big 12 conference. Because, I mean, if you look at the non-conference schedule, the last few times that they have played Big 12 opponents, it hasn't worked out in the favor of Houston. But this is, like I said earlier in the show, this is very much indeed a program in transition, not only from making that conference jump, but in the roster creation in and of itself.
And I think also what's different as far as geography is the size of the city of Houston versus, say, Lawrence, Kansas, say, Morgantown, West Virginia. Also, there's so many different options on how sports fans can spend their recreational dollars in Houston.
Sure.
Versus in Kansas or in the Midwest. So I think there's a lot of draw, whether it's the Rockets, the Astros, the Texans, the Dash. There's so many different ways. And then you have to compete with college athletics as well. So I think that's a different variable to contend with, or at least consider as far as support.
We're going to touch on that more. We're going to take a quick break. Reminding everybody, you're watching The Lunch Break here, powered by JM&E on the BS3 network. This clip, love this clip. Cole Sports, it's for you, Cole.
If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
I love that. And Cole, I hope you're still tuning in to us. We need to talk, you, me, and Andy, so you can put together something for us here on The Lunch Break. Because Kennetra, in case you hadn't heard it at the beginning, Throwback Thursday, this is going to be our time slot going forward.
Hey.
So, yes. So if you can be a part of that, we'd surely appreciate it. Get that other perspective from the Big 12, as we are now going to be members of the Big 12.
Yep.
But, Andy, what Kennetra said makes sense. It's legit about Houston as a pro town. We know that. It's not a college town unless you're the Longhorns or the Aggies. or in some cases
Or
LSU,
your winning program.
or winning. But at some point, Houston has to stop using that as a crutch. It's reality. We know it's not, but UH for too long, they just accept that and say, oh, well, we're not, what can we do? What should we do? They do nothing. They don't do anything. They put little to no effort in promoting their product, promoting their sports, promoting their teams. That's not going to work in the Big 12. I'm sorry. As Coach Sampson has said it, Andy, you've said it, and Kenichi may have heard him say it a few times. It's a play on the famous phrase. If you do the same thing and expect different results, you're a fool. I mean, they got to do something. They got to change things for the better. So to tie it all, put a bow on it. And the July 1st is official start for UH in the Big 12. Have you heard, seen, read any plans for an event to announce that for the fans to be a part of? That's a big deal. 30 years, however long it's been for UH to want to be a part of a big time conference. That's not about to happen. They should do something about it. Promote it. Have a party. Have an event. Have it at Fertitta Center. Something. What do you think?
That sounds like a great idea. And as of now, as of April 13th, I have not heard anything close to that.
Kennetra, what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When you invest in the promotion of your product, why should someone else believe in your product, athletic department, university more than you believe in it yourself? And so the powers that be, whether it's the Board of Regents, whether it's the athletic department, whether it's the creative team within the university, there is a missed opportunity if they don't take advantage of that. Yeah, have a part. I mean, you see kind of what UCF did this week, just kind of with their social media department, showing them sewing the Big 12 logo onto the football uniform. I mean, that's the least you could do. So you have to brand yourself and promote yourself. You have to, what did Houston's own Yolanda add? You have to encourage yourself.
Yes.
So so that's the thing. If you're just kind of like, oh yeah, we're here. Okay. If you want to blend in, that's fine. But if you want to stand out, you have to make some noise.
Agree, because if Houston doesn't promote itself as an Houston Athletics, why should we? I mean, why should we spend time? Andy, I think Tony, you're a loyal supporter of all of our shows and platforms. We, for the most part, and they say others, Gokus as well, but we promote UH more than UH, more time than not. And we don't get paid for it. So, I mean, what do you think about that, Andy? I just, you know where I stand.
I won't comment on that one. I guess that's subjective. I've let Tony M and other people that have followed along comment on that aspect. But I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, I looked at it. So July 1 is when it becomes official that Houston joins the Big 12, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That will be on a Saturday.
Right.
Wouldn't it be really cool? And this is just me jumping, like a thought that popped in my head. It would be a Friday night going into Saturday. They had like a New Year's Eve type of event, invited people over, I don't know, to TDCU or Fertitta or wherever, had a countdown. And when it officially turns midnight and it's July 1, hey, we're in the Big 12, we're a Power 5 conference. It could also be a very good opportunity to try to get donors to donate to the Big 12 Rise campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's like you said, and obviously there's so many factors that go into it when it comes to marketing departments. When it comes to, again, like, you don't know who's making the final say, whether it be the Board of Regents, whether it do be the athletics administration, the athletics department, what kind of factors go into it. But there's so many ways where you could just have fun with it. And again, it's something that as a university, since the Southwest Conference disbanded and that it's kind of been Houston trying to get into the journey, the Houston, I know John Rothstein always says it for Calvin Sampson, it's kind of been a redemption arc for Houston trying to get back into a quote unquote Power 5 conference. And there are so many different avenues where you could have fun with it and promote it. And even from us, from from our perspective, there's so many different things that we could do as well that I'm thinking of in terms of capitalizing again, because it is kind of a it's a celebratory occasion, but it's something that, unless if Houston eventually joins the Big 12, Big 10, or SEC, you're not really going to have an event
Right.
again.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Why not bring in, notable alumni of the University of Houston to do a promotional campaign? Akeem Olajuwon, Jim Nance, Andre Ware, just to get the fervor up surrounding, like, hey, we're coming, hey, Big 12, whatever, just to, and so you embrace those who have come through the university and the athletic department, as well as, putting a face and promoting the brand on a national scale, and just be like, okay, they're not just, a little brother trying to sit at the big table for Thanksgiving dinner, and you're just happy with crumbs. Because
it'll look worse when UCF, Cincinnati, BYU do things to announce they're joining the Big 12 if Houston doesn't. You got to stand out. One thing I'm learning, put this up from Tony M as well. Get Paul Wall to do something about joining the Big 12 on July 1st. Bun B, there's a whole, man, Houston got so many celebrities and great restaurants and fame. The ultimate, get Beyonce or Lizzo. Went to Houston, went to UH. Man, we'll give y'all some of the ideas right now here on the lunch break here, powered by JM&E. My goodness. Just like giving y'all stuff on a platter here. I mean, come on, folks. Make this happen. Because, as Andy said it, Houston may not get another chance to join the Power 2. You know what I'm saying? A power conference. This might be it. So, come on. But, hey, Cole, Paul Wall has connection with UH. He's done a lot of promotion for the football program. And I think if even
he created the intro video for them for football last season.
Yep. So Paul Wall, because Paul went to UH for some classes. I'm not sure if he's a graduate, but he's got a connection with the program. Megan Stallion. Megan went to TSU, but I'm not blind. Got a lot of supporters for Megan Thee Stallion here. There's so many people here in this city that Houston UH should at least reach out to see if they're willing to help be part of this. July 1st, because Rice is joining the American. Rice might do something for them joining the American. Florida Atlantic, I'm pretty sure they will, right off their high men's team going to the Final Four. So don't let other folks steal your thunder. Steal your chance to shine. But Kennetra,
what's up?
Back to the spring event. It did not air live, but is it available on ESPN Plus, on Big 12 now on ESPN Plus?
It is now available, yes. Okay.
See, and that's another opportunity missed that Houston could put on the YouTube channel as well as on the Big 12 now on ESPN Plus. So I don't know if they can't do that yet, but at least put it out though on the social media platforms. I missed opportunity there. And Big 12 Football Media Day is in July. What is it? What is it, Andy? What I sent to you?
12 and 13, I think.
12 and 13? 14. I got it here, but it's roughly 2 weeks after officially joining 12th and 13th at AT&T Stadium.
Once July rolls around, your feet are gonna hit the ground running, because it's gonna be Big 12 Media Day right at the end of July, training camp, all of August is leading up. There's gonna be the quarterback battles. Again, there's so many things that the program does have going for it outside of just we're gonna play a Big 12 schedule. So hopefully they do capitalize on it come the summer.
Because the Houston Roundball Review Media Group is planning to be at Football Media Day. Okay, someone will be there representing Houston Roundball Review. Trust and believe that is the plan, because we're expanding. We got platforms. Heck, might be doing the lunch break from there. Who knows? But ideas is just other ways to reach our fans, because our fans are growing. Kennetra, it is really gratifying for me and Andy and Dayon. We walk around at basketball games. You guys doing a show tonight? Yeah. Let's rage Coogs. Go Coogs. I mean, over and over, you folks recognize us in Fort Worth at the conference championship. That is just, it is so awesome to see that our work is paying off and be recognized. And now going to the Big 12, I'll say this. I'm not sure Houston's going to capitalize on it, but we're going to. we're going to put forth every effort to capitalize on UH joining the Big 12, because I got some interview plans in mind for some pretty high up folks in the Big 12. Just saying, I'm putting it out there right now. But Andy, what are you going to say?
No, I was just going to add on to your point about the conference tournament in Fort Worth. I was at a CBS and I had someone come up to me and again acknowledge from the show, recognize me from the show, showed me on Twitter, which obviously you see a lot of these accounts on Twitter. You don't know the faces behind them. So it's just an awesome experience all season long to be able to connect with people that tune into the show and they know you for something that you've created. It's awesome. And I've said it many times on Let's Rich Coogs, but never be able to say thank you enough.
And AJ Jones he's part of our growth and who we are, and he's helping us to continue to grow. Because when AJ invited me to be a guest on the lunch break 3-4 years ago, whatever, I noticed how he did his show in the streaming platform, and then I saw how he did it. I looked into doing it for myself, and then I got Andy involved in streaming the shows. So he does his own shows as well. So AJ, it all ties together. And getting Kennetra to be part of the shows now, meeting her at the Big 12 basketball tip-off, and she's been so kind to join us when she can on the lunch break here, and we'll try to continue that relationship as well going forward. Now that Kansas and Houston will be in the same conference. Let's talk about Commissioner Brett Yormark. He had an interview that was posted a few days ago. One of his goals is Big 12 Mexico. Kennetra, have you heard anything about that? And you have any more specifics about what that could mean?
No, I haven't heard any of the details. We did have a chance to talk to the commissioner during the NCAA tournament in Des Moines, just about his vision, what the past kind of 7-8 months have been like for him since taking the helm, of the Big 12. I mean, he was here in Kansas City for the Big 12 basketball championships in March. He caught a lot of heat from the media because he relocated the media upstairs.
Way up top, way upstairs.
Way upstairs into the hockey kind of the hockey press box, in the sake of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was the highest revenue generating Big 12 tournament to date. So I don't see that. I don't see him going back to putting the media back courtside where they were for the NCAA Midwest Regionals. Just saying.
Right.
But yeah. And then of course it was, Fat Joe Friday and DJ Diesel Saturday. So the entertainment element.
And remind everyone, who is DJ Diesel?
Shaquille O'Neal. Brought them in, for entertainment purposes during the weekend of the Big 12 championship, the Friday night, Saturday night. It changes next year because this year the men's and women's tournaments were going on simultaneously, mm-hmm. 2 different venues down the street. Next year, the women will be the week before the men. They will all be playing their respective Big 12 tournaments at T-Mobile Center.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the schedule has to shift a little bit from what it was because of BYU's policies. They can't compete on Sundays, which is when the Big 12 women's championship game is played. So that schedule changes, a little bit. And then also 2 weeks later, T-Mobile Center will be hosting the NCAA Wrestling National Championship. So there's a lot of moving parts kind of in March going on at that venue.
And I'm going to put this comment up from Cole. Big 12 Mexico, in the words of Angela Rye. Boy, bye. It sounds weird. I'm curious to see what it entails. Will it be a football game in Mexico? Will it be a basketball game, event, doubleheader, what, or more? Who knows? But it's just another example of Commissioner Yormark and his staff thinking outside the box. You know, the business symposium that it will have around the baseball championship is a great idea. The pro day for NFL draft for the entire conference next year is a great idea. Rucker Park, I think, will start this summer, where Big 12 coaches will be at the Rucker. These are ideas that the old guard would have never come up with. So it's different. We'll see if it works. There will be some more concerts in connection with Big 12 and I guess Rock Nation artists. And I mean, one of the things that I've heard is this media synergy. The goal is to generate $75 million for the conference to split among its members. Andy, could you see Michael Resco doing that in the American?
No.
So it's just, this is a new era. Houston is joining the Big 12, and they need to step up their game in terms of marketing, promotion. Just saying, hey, we're in the Big 12 now. We're playing Big 12 teams. Come see us.
It's not enough.
That's not enough.
And I mean, again, going back to Brett Yormark and his idea for Big 12 Mexico, it's innovative. That's the word. And to be quite frank, it's what you need to be if you're not the SEC and the Big 10. Where can you build another audience? And one of the things that the Big 12 has going for it is a lot of links to Texas. And Texas, and specifically Houston and the Dallas area, I mean, they have a lot of market when it comes to the Hispanic community. It could be tapped, especially if it is a success. And that's something that they'll have that the SEC and the Big 10 won't. And that's an advantage that they can grow from. It's innovative.
But
Go ahead.
My question, once Texas joins the SEC, then how attractive will Big 12 in Mexico be?
True, but that's where Houston comes in. They need to take advantage of it. I mean,
but understand.
Yeah.
But I think before you can have promotion, you have to have a solid product.
No doubt there. No question. Well,
but
Kennetra, are you saying mediocre football is not a solid product?
It's not a draw.
I will say this though. I mean, how many conferences are even trying to make that connection? That could be something that they have going for them in their favor. Like they could basically be the first taste that they have of American football, American sports in general, which could be it could be a selling point, not a selling point, but it could be a connection, that an advantage. Again, that's the key thing, something that differentiates them from the other conferences, which if you're not one of those quote unquote power two, you gotta kind of, for the lack of a better phrase, throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, I mean, because you see what's happening in other sports, in other conferences. Notre Dame, with international football. You look at basketball, women's basketball next year. They just announced it. Notre Dame and South Carolina. They're going to open. Is it Ireland, Scotland,
Paris?
Mm-hmm. So you see that. So you have those brands, and I think not as much in football, but in the other sports, you have a lot more international flavor on the rosters that I think, is attractive. So, we'll see if the vision, how well the reality aligns with the vision.
And reminding everybody, I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Joining me on Throwback Thursday on the lunch break is Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports and Kennetra Pulliams from Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. AJ kind of tweeted out, it's a takeover Thursday. This is our time slot on the lunch break. So going forward, we're going to see if we can grow with it and you guys help us grow with it. The lunch break is also available on the BS3 network on Roku. So thank you very much, AJ, for trusting us to be on this show and believing in us as well. Kennetra, I haven't asked you about this, but who won the WNIT?
Kansas.
Women's basketball, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Andy, you hear that? Kansas women's basketball in the Big 12 won the WNIT. Do you think the Houston Cougars women's basketball team could do that?
No.
Wow. He didn't take any time with that answer.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say, well, if this, and this, yeah. Point blank, period, no.
Oh, wow. All right, Andy. Care to elaborate on why you feel that way?
The proof is in the pudding. I know they made it the Sweet 16 of the WNIT in 21 or 22.
Yeah.
One of those seasons, but I mean, there's nothing that you could, for me personally, there's nothing that you could say they could have made that run, especially to be able to have to beat a team like Kansas if they were to get in a championship. I just don't see it.
A question for you, Kennetra. What was the crowds like for KU?
They built no, they at first, it was tough because it was going up against the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But then, once KU men lost to Arkansas, then all of a sudden, hey, the schedule opened up, and they did a really good job of athletic director, players, everyone being engaged and being intentional in trying to get attendance up, because attendance, isn't what they would have liked. It's, I think Allen Fieldhouse 16-3.
Mm-hmm.
So to the
that
semifinals.
Many? Really? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Semifinals and the finals. KU was fortunate. Every game they played was at home during the NIT tournament. So they didn't have to travel at all. And so they did a really good job just getting the word out, promotions and giveaways and t-shirts and attendance, and hey, first 200 students get in free, so they did a lot, just to generate that buzz. And the players, the coaches, everyone within the program was very appreciative and acknowledged the fans and their support and the momentum and that energy that the fans generated at the field house, and what that meant as far as helping the women, secure, because they really thought that they were going to be in the NCAA tournament until their showing in the first round of the Big 12 tournament, losing TCU, and that thwarted all hopes of making the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, they did, next best thing. Hey, you still got a chance to play in the postseason, go win it. And they did.
And Coach Snyder, did he get a new contract yet?
He got one before the season. Last season, he was Big 12 Coach of the Year, and he got an extension then.
So another program better than the Cougars going into the Big 12. But I digress. And KU's best player, is she coming back?
Twin, they're all coming back. Two of their players, Zakiya Franklin and Holly Kerskeeter, they went through senior day ceremonies, and they all, we thought that they were going to leave. But after they win the NIT, Zakiya and Holly Kerskeeter and twin Tiana Jackson, they all announced that they're coming back. They're using that fifth year of COVID eligibility, and so they're all coming back.
Shucks,
I think the only player who announced that she's leaving is Iona Honteleonte. One of those international players, and she's from Greece. She's been injured most of the year, so she announced that she's entering the transfer portal. But other than that, they're all coming back. And then, we saw the emergence of Yvette Mayberry. Mm-hmm. She transferred in, this season, and also a lot of people.
Tulsa, I think.
Yeah, they're one that they're very high on, a high school player here.
Oh, she cut out.
Mission West.
There we go. Okay, she's coming in and out. Well, let me just say this: Tiana Jackson, Andy is 6'6".
There we go. Yes, Tiana Jackson, and then
double doubles all over the place. Just double doubles everywhere.
She's a double machine. And then Samaya Nichols is the high school player that very high on, and so she's joined the program for next season.
So Andy, I said Tiana Jackson is 6'6". She's coming back for Kansas. Currently, do the Coogs have anybody in their roster taller than 6'6"? Yeah, taller than 6'2".
I know you're gonna pull up the comment from Cole Sports to get your thoughts on
which one? The most recent one?
Yes. Kris, I know you don't believe that.
Your armada can only go up from here. Well, for the most part,
Eventually.
He's not wrong. I mean, women's basketball at some point will get there. At some point, might be the time Andy gets me my age, but it's just not promising in that realm yet. And it's not a personal attack on Coach Hui, great man, but results. 9 years, 0 trips to the NCAA tournament. And now you're going to what I think, and I think you as well agree, is a better conference for women's basketball. So, I mean, I don't really have a lot of hope in Houston women's basketball going to the tournament next year. So that'd be 10 years in a row. What are you waiting on? What seriously?
That's the thing. It's much more about the history in the past few seasons. But I hope we're wrong, and I hope Ron Hughes can rub it in our faces.
Yeah. Hey, I look forward to that. If he does that, and if he comes up there with the trophy or they get the bid and he turns to me and points at me, heck, flips me off, I don't care, and says, "Hey, I told you we get it done." And I'd say, "Yes, you did." And then I would say, "It's about damn time." But prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. But we shall see. But my goodness, kudos, congrats to KU women's basketball for winning the WNIT. Kennetra, men's hoops for KU. Grady Dick is projected. Has he officially entered the draft? Okay, so that's official. He's a lottery pick.
Yes.
Projected. So is Jarris Walker for Houston lottery pick. Are you surprised that Jalen Wilson is, I guess, second round projections? Does that surprise you? Big 12 player of the year?
No. I mean, just because, the KU's had many players of the year who, their game doesn't exactly translate. I mean, Jalen has put in the work to improve his shot selection, his leadership, his 3-point shooting. He was another kind of double machine. Mm-hmm. Led the Big 12 in rebounding and scoring, averaged 20 points a game. And so it's just a matter of him finding, the right system, the right team, just to kind of showcase, what he's done. I mean, we're still waiting on Kevin McCullough to decide what he wants to do at last week's team banquet. Bill Self, told Kevin directly, "I want you back."
Okay.
But I understand if you have to do what's best for you. So I think he's going to go through the process just to kind of see what scouts say, just about his future. He needs to be a more consistent scorer. His defense is elite. Yes. But he just needs to develop more offensively. But yeah, KU's team is going to look dramatically different next year. They have more players entering the portal than they have returning.
Really? Who else is entered the portal?
Where do we start? Let me just tell you. I'll tell you who's coming back.
Okay. All right.
So KJ Adams, from Austin, who played the 5. He'll probably play the 4. And DeJuan Harris. Those are your 2 starters who are coming back. The other 2 scholarship players who are coming back, Zuby Ejiofor and Ernest Uday, 2 freshmen.
Okay. That's it. Is that it?
That's it.
So that's 4.
4 scholarship players who are coming back.
Andy, I hope Coug fans are watching. Tony M and tell you Coug fans as well. KU has 4 scholarship players as of right now, April 13th, returning. Andy, the Cougs have how many players returning as of right now?
Well, all of them except 3. I guess we could do the reverse. We can just tell you who's not coming back.
So again, the sky is not falling, and the Cougs announced officially the signings of
4.
Damian Dunn and LJ Cryer. Kennetra, what are your thoughts on it? LJ Cryer transferred from Baylor to Houston, but staying in the Big 12.
Yeah, Houston kid, so I can see that. I really thought he was going to stay in the Big 12. I thought he was going to end up at K-State, and be reunited with Jerome Tang, who, recruited him when he was at Baylor. So, but I'm not surprised that, he's going there. It's all, in this day and age, I think that we've seen the end of entire recruiting classes staying together for the duration, or staying together, maybe not 4 years, but at least 3 years. I think that's over and done with. It's a revolving door, because if you're good enough, you're going to go pro early, or if you're good enough, somebody else is going to want you in their program and willing to put up the money to lure you to their program in the NIL day that we're in.
Right.
So,
and in these closing minutes of the lunch break, this is the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, officially here on Throwback Thursday on the lunch break, courtesy of AJ Jones. Cole Sports, thank you for this very much. We appreciate it. That's kind words coming from Cole. Going forward, this is really going to be the plan. There might be some days, I'm going to shock him right now, I say this on the air. There might be some days where Andy Yanez is flying solo, well, not flying solo, but, the head chef, as Coogs said a few years ago.
The captain.
Be the captain of everything and be in control and running all the boards and all that kind of stuff. So he can do that. He's done it before on Folk Talking Sports. Kennetra, we are at your whim. So whenever you are available and have time to join us on the lunch break, the invitation is to you, is extended.
It.
So thank you as always for your insight. Let's see if there's anything else I want to touch on. Anything surprise you in the play-in so far? Either one of you?
I was going to say, when Minnesota looked like they were going to cruise to victory, and then they completely collapsed and choked in the fourth quarter. So I guess the Lakers, definitely the Lakers were able to ultimately win that game. The Thunder, I think the Thunder, man, the sky's the limit for that team. And they're missing their top pick this past year, and they're still going to get a chance to compete to get into the actual playoff tournament. I mean, the future is really, really bright for them.
What are you going to say, Kennetra?
No, I was going to say, they've been, really, really good games. They've been competitive. And, everyone thought, oh, yeah, no way the Hawks are going to beat the Heat. No, absolutely no way. And then it's just like, well, so is Quinn the answer? I mean, so far so good.
Well, as long as Trae Young is happy, we'll see how long that lasts for the Hawks. But let's answer this, if we can, these last couple of minutes. Why do the Lakers are like playing with teams? It's who they are.
They weren't playing with Minnesota. They just couldn't stop Karl-Anthony Towns.
and one issue I noticed is Kyle Anderson beat LeBron off the dribble. Okay, slow-mo. That's a problem. A basic dribble drive into the paint, and LeBron couldn't stop slow-mo. So the Lakers defense has to get way, way better. I mean, they got good offensive players, but at some point,
D'Angelo Russell has to produce something.
Yes, he has to produce. So they got pieces. I can see.
AD look good.
Stay healthy, be consistent. A lot of those things. But Timberwolves, Karl-Anthony Towns was good, but down the stretch, he didn't take advantage of the short guys in the post.
It just looked like Minnesota. I don't know if you could call it. It seemed like no one wanted to. No, they just didn't. No one wanted to take control of the moment and carry Minnesota over the hump. There was a stretch there towards the closing possessions where they just passed the ball too many times, and no one took the shot, and it ended up being a rushed, contested jumper. The way Karl-Anthony Towns played in the first 3 quarters of the game, it was night and day difference from that fourth quarter. I don't know if the offense just flowed. They went from, like you said, Kris, being able to beat the Lakers off the dribble, attacking, creating open shots for each other, to passing the ball up and taking last-second hues as the shot clock was expiring. And that was a big reason why they struggled. They put up 12 points only in that fourth quarter. And, I mean, let's be honest, if the referees don't call that ticky-tack foul on Mike Conley to at the very end, they would have lost in regulation.
Yep, salute to the old man for making those 3 clutch free throws. But Anthony Edwards had a horrible shooting game. Okay, horrible.
Oh, yeah, he was.
But down the stretch, he let that impact. He didn't even try to attack the basket anymore. Oh man, just because your outside shot isn't falling doesn't mean you can't drive to the hoop and get fouled, go to the free throw line. But live and learn for the youngsters. Rudy Gobert, they didn't really miss him offensively for sure. Mr. Punch and Mr. I'm sorry. Boy,
I mean, that's going to be interesting on Friday. I mean, he plays. And
yeah.
I mean, I think Oklahoma City is going to beat them. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see that dynamic.
Well, do you think they have the best player in the game?
No, I think
Shea, SGA.
The first 3 quarters of Karl Anthony Towns is the best player on the court. But the question is, can he do that for all 4 quarters? Because if he would have been that cat in the 4th quarter, Minnesota would have beaten Los Angeles. I think Anthony Edwards isn't going to go 3 for 17 again. But I don't know. There's just something about it that I think I'm picking Oklahoma City. I think they'll just find a way to win, close out seconds. Because, I mean, the Thunder are far from perfect. They could very easily lost yesterday against New Orleans. But something about where Minnesota's heading, they have negative momentum. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're going to close it out. So real quick, before we go to Sybil Wilkes to wrap it up, Kennetra, how can folks find you on social media?
At K Pulliams on Twitter. It's the best place to find me.
Andy, how about you? How can folks find you?
Yanez _5 and Potsdam and Jam on YouTube. That's much more important. We're really, really close to getting to 1,000 subs.
Excellent. I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Catch me on Twitter at @VHRReview, HoustonRoundballReview.com, Houston Roundball Review, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thanks once again to AJ Jones for allowing the Houston Roundball Review takeover on the lunch break. If you did not watch us live on Roku on the BS3 network, you can catch us on demand later on. So thank you again, AJ. And we're closing it out. We'll see everybody again next Thursday. And at some point in the future, might be Tuesday through Friday as well on lunch break, powered by JM&E. Sybil Wilkes.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today, we made it. It's Friday, April 14th, 2023. Number 1. Manhattan, New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg Jr. has filed a lawsuit against U.S. Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, who is chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, and leading an investigation into D.A. Bragg and his office, and has subpoenaed former members of the Manhattan DA's staff. In the suit, the New York District Attorney calls the investigation a constitutionally destructive fishing expedition and a free-ranging campaign of harassment in retaliation for the district attorney's investigation and prosecution of Donald Trump. Congressman Jordan charges the House Judiciary Committee, which he chairs, has some degree of oversight over the Manhattan DA's office because part of their budget is derived from federal funding. Number 2, it's been less than a week since news of highly classified military documents on the Ukraine war have surfaced, sending the Pentagon into full-speed damage control. The leaks have highlighted how closely the U.S. monitors how its allies and friends interact with Russia and China. Officials in several countries have denied or rejected allegations from the leaked records. Number 3, cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of maternal death in the U.S., or more simply put, heart disease is the number 1 killer of new moms. The American Heart Association and Go Red for Women are doing something about this crisis. Check out the What You Need to Know newsletter for all the information. Number 4. Athlete Ally, a nonprofit organization focused on creating LGBTQ+ inclusive athletic environments, wrote a letter that was signed by 40 prominent athletes, including soccer star Megan Rapinoe, recently retired WNBA legend Sue Bird, and transgender boxer Patricio Manuel. Monday, they urged lawmakers to drop proposed legislation that would prohibit transgender and intersex girls and women from participating in sports. In recent years, multiple states have enacted laws to prohibit transgender athletes from participating in organized sports, a push that is now finding favor with Republicans at the national level. Number 5, according to the Centers for Disease Control, Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy complications than white women. The maternal death rate has nearly doubled for expecting African American women between 2018 and 2021. And in addition, The maternal death rate among Black women in the U.S. is one of the highest among industrialized nations. Luckily, 3 Black-owned healthcare businesses are pushing to make a positive impact on the crisis. Go to the What You Need to Know newsletter to find out which businesses they are. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Life is a series of choices. Choose to show gratitude. All right, here we go. Showing gratitude and thank you to our What You Need to Know partner, the American Heart Association. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
JM&E Jeter, and I won $500 on the lunch break in the Keeping Up with the Joneses Bracket Challenge.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.